I would like you to permit me recognize the presence of the dear administration of Victoria University, and also recognize the presence of the different presidents of the different Victoria University students clubs, and also permit me to recognize the presence of the students who have put in much effort to see that they come for this summit. Today we are talking about education and history. In this education system we are teaching our students. But you will agree with me that all our students that we have do not know the history of their Africa, but they know the history of the whites. For example, here in Uganda, I remember when I was in P5, I was being taught that Lake Victoria was the source of the River Nile, and it was named by a man called John Speak. But if you ask a student that what's the local name of that lake they talk about, he tells you, I don't know. And yet the student endeavors so much to know things of foreign than things of his or her own home. You know things of the neighbor so much, and what is at your own place you don't know it. And that's why people, you find them so much, we are concentrating on focusing in foreign jobs than even at our own local base. You find people, the Africans themselves, they don't believe in their own countries, but they are so much focused on the foreign countries because they end up telling us they made it in life. It's even at a very, very sad note that in Africa, it's the only continent on earth which it does not consume what it produces, but consumes what it does not produce. Oh, Africa. Africa is where you're going to find where there is no political hygiene, where a person defeated in elections will prefer to rather go in for war, to rather cause violence, strike, than accepting. Even if he or she goes to court, will end up saying that the court has not given a right ruling, and therefore I'm to go into the bush, I'm to go into a strike. At the end of the day, ourselves, we bury our own countries. I remember President Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, once he said, it's not the matter of how long you have taken into power, but the matter is about what you've done. To give you a good example, it's the nation of Libya. That Libya was a country of honey that everyone would really admire to go to in Africa. Almost all the citizens had what is needed, but because they had a question of how long you have taken in power, now Libya is a nation of bloodshed. For me, I would agree, as long as the person takes long in power but is doing the right thing and you people are having what is being deserved, why not for you to continue in such a way? For us to continue to be like people who live in great harmony, having quick development, is we accepting what we have and do with that. Not your kusaka, every day we are kusaka, for what? You know, these whites don't care of what happens to you, but what they care about is what you get. And I'm so sure some teachers, they don't know the history of Africa, but they know the history of foreign countries. Which the foreign countries didn't have history before, but they just built it. If you ask a lecturer or any teacher, let me say in high school, in secondary or primary, even nursery, let me go to that extent. If you ask them, you know the richest man in the world, the second, third, and fourth, you're always talking about their wealth status, but never had you talked about people who have ever done good and been the wealthiest people in Africa and in the world. Because Africa had and has the most richest person in the world called Mansa Musa. But they have never taught us Mansa Musa. We are always learning foreign things. They never told us about the political hygiene, the good deeds of Mansa Musa. For example, building 22 mosques wherever he was on Fridays. It was because of Mansa Musa that Africa was put on the world map. Because the whites never knew that Africa existed. But you find our later day lecturers, teachers, teaching us only whites, but they never teach us our political and economic social history. Therefore, I call upon this generation that the only thing that can make us sustain and know our own way to solve our own problems is we knowing our only origin, our very origin, our very home. These people are of course aware that all of us will think in the same pot, that you can't even enlarge or expand our minds. Whenever we think about education, we need to study about the whites. Things related to democracy, but in a reflection with foreign countries. I remember when I was in a church, I think I was in senior 6, I was talking to a certain teacher. I told him, what's democracy? He told me that democracy runs about all about elections and all those other things. Then I told him, can you give me one country that has democracy, good democracy? He gave me a reflection of the United States of America. I laughed and asked him, in Africa? He told me he hasn't yet seen it. Then I told him, you haven't seen it because you don't know your actual history. You know the history of foreigners. That's why even you yourself, you are busy in class teaching us Napoleon Bonaparte. Because that's what you know, that's what you are being told. Even those people who have gone, who were there before you. And therefore I call upon everyone in the nation, then let us come back to know our righteous roots. First solve your home, know things in your home before you know things of the neighbors. You cannot work for the neighbors to be well. You cannot make the neighbors to be famous when the people of your own house are starving. That's why at the end of the day, you're always running to Arab countries to serve. So, it's high time all of us we do the necessary things. That the people of Africa, we must change Africa. The last time I checked is that we must roll out of our sleeves. We must roll out of our sleeves and go into the arena of action. Suffer, sweat. Plant the tree in the knowledge that the planter of the tree will never enjoy its shade. But the good news is that the planter of the tree has planted the tree. Another generation will water the tree. Another generation will prune the tree. Another generation will enjoy its shade. God bless you.